Us. I am YORI FOLARIN. Hope you had a great weekend. It's been a busy weekend on the political scene, and not all of it necessarily is in Nigeria. The Senate, as you know, will commence screening of the ministerial list sent to them by the president. But our concern this morning is going to be events in neighboring Niger. As you know, there's been a coup there, and indeed the African Union has spoken. There was a summit yesterday, Sunday, in Abuja, and they've come out with a communique. Long and short of it is that there will be a zero tolerance. Indeed, it has been demanded that the coup leader there, we need to get used to these names, General Abdurrahmane Tichiani.
It's a tough name to pronounce.
It is. He's taking charge, yeah. And ECOWAS has said that you must hand it back. Worse still, for them, they've put a timeline to it. Okay, my guest this morning is Kayode Esuola, our political scientist, research associate prof at IADS, University of Lagos. As always, Kayode, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Indeed. So, as I was saying, this seems to be a tough one because we thought we were seeing less of coups, and when you look at that whole swathe of countries that includes Chad, you find that on the contrary, it seems to be catching. It's catching as a common cold. Were you surprised with the situation in Chad? Especially the coup in Chad. I beg your pardon. The coup in Niger.
Chad was some months ago.
Exactly.
Well, the straight answer is that I am not in any way surprised. I'm not surprised because what is playing out is what I choose to call action and reaction of extreme power usage. The political system is set in such a way that there are powers that are, at the disposals of several parts. The government has its own power, the military has its own power, the judiciary has its own power. The people also have their own power. So what you see is that when one of these sectors or sections, so to say, use power in the extreme sense, okay, that action will catalyze reactions from other parts of the society. People could react by engaging in uprising, protest, riot, okay, if the reaction is not coming from the people, it could be from the military. And that comes in terms of coup and counter-coup, as you have witnessed across West Africa now. It shocks you to know that 4 out of 8 or so Francophone countries in West Africa are now being led by military coup. For an analyst, you want to interrogate why. Beyond the emotion of judgment. They don't like democracy.
And also that these countries are mostly, if not entirely, Francophone countries.
That's what I'm saying. Speaking. That's what I'm saying, Francophone countries. But there's peculiarity. Peculiarity in the sense of the locations of these countries that you have now. If you see all of them, Mali, Burkina Faso, Chad, and Niger, they are neighbored. They are almost also all deadlocked. And they are exposed to the Libya-Cum Middle East, where small arms and ammunition are flowing in, which means they're also exposed to terrorism, okay? Much more than what you have in the coastal states. So what we have is a situation of serious pressure of insecurity within the political system. So if the military feels, wrongly or otherwise, you cannot know, that the government are not doing enough to address the insecurity, it is very likely for the military to react, especially because insecurity goes directly to the sector of the military. Young men and women in school, in hospitals, don't go to war. They can only be killed accidentally. But when there is insecurity, the military lives are on the way. So it's explainable, not justifiable, how you see these guys coming out to make claims and counterclaim, part of which is insecurity. And an extension to that is that there is a contagious dimension to it. When your neighbor engages in an action, and that action is called a military coup, and it does look like it is getting results, that neighbor is getting results in terms of a country now from that action, you're also tempted to do the same thing, especially when you feel your own government is also not doing what it's supposed to do. So there are a lot of ways in which this can be explained, not justified.
Not justified, explained.
However,
And the other, notable, remarkable thing is that this coup seems to be something of a popular coup in Niger itself. There were pictures of youths, parading the streets, burning the French flag, hoisting the Russian flag. So there's also that worry that, look, are these people now looking more to, that is to say, the coupists, if there's any such word, so, let's make it out of...
We can create the words if it doesn't exist.
Exactly.
We have the license.
So this is how they have worked it out. But now that the ECOWAS body has slammed them with an ultimatum, I guess we're going to have to wait to see how they react, because they did say that they were considering all options to return this to normalcy, not excluding force. That would have been a first, isn't it? I can't remember if force has been threatened and indeed deployed in recent memory in Africa. But to show the seriousness of purpose of these times, they're saying that you've got to hand back in 7 days, or you shall see a reaction from us.
Well, I think we must commend ECOWAS for coming out with this very strong warning, very strong condemning position towards the coup. In principle, that is what ECOWAS should do. In principle, that is the body language and the disposition that one expects from ECOWAS. However, it goes beyond that, much beyond that. In elementary political science or social studies, what you and I were taught and what we are made and socialized to believe is that legitimacy and sovereignty both of them lie in the hands of the people. Therefore, it is thought that people are wiser than the institutions that they put in place to run their society. That is the thinking.
Okay.
When in theory we say power lies in the hands of the people. When you just win an election, you say, well, the Nigerian people, in their wisdom, have decided. So in theory, what it means is that people are wiser. Now, on that assumption, if there was coup in Mali, and the Malians welcomed the coup against a purportedly democratically elected government, if there was the same in Chad, same thing happened. In Burkina Faso, same thing happened. And in Niger, only some 2 days ago, same thing eventually happened. Then, are you saying that people are no longer wise? That's what you taught us. That's the term of social engagement. The answer is more likely to be no. People are still wise, but they do not see support where they expect it. So they are shifting base to alternative support system, which they hope will give them what they want. And that is why I started by capturing it as action and reaction of extreme power usage within West African state. What happened is that the power of government exists, but it can be deployed in normal sense as well as in extreme sense. When you deploy it in a normal sense, it means you are balancing it. You are doing what you're supposed to do, increasing the privileges of the ruling class, doing all these things, and then the people are not suffering. If you deploy it in the extreme way, people are choked and they are dying. People will therefore also invoke the powers that they have. Military is part of the people, part of the government.
I was going to say...
The power it has lies in the barrel of the gun.
Indeed.
People are part of the government. The power they have is insurgency. So you now have a situation in which extreme deployment of power on the part of the state and the government now catalyze military coup with support protests from the people. You can't win such war.
Which indeed is what has happened.
Which is indeed
what has happened now.
You can't win such war.
We're going to come back and talk about this some more. Let me go on a quick break. Please stay with us. We'll be right back, and we'll include your calls as well.
Stubborn dark marks? Try new Nivea Lumina 630. Visibly reduces up to 10 years of stubborn dark marks in just 4 weeks. New Nivea Lumina 630. Get even and luminous skin.
Oh, you can reach the stars. Anything your heart believes. Oh, just a little try.
Here's to the born hustlers, to the intentional ones, to the tireless nourishers, to the odd defiers, to those who break through the limits, to those who always go for it.
Okay, welcome back. Our guest is still Kade Isuola, political scientist, research associate professor at UNILAG. Now, you were just saying how very important, the power base is for either the people or, depending on who it is, there are different power bases, so to speak, and
power bases
have to be managed properly.
Power bases.
There was also the point yesterday that was made along the lines of, look, well, not so much that the point was made, but it seems that what we have now is that you can either look at this, diplomatically, that is to say, for us to take when I say us, I'm talking about the rest of Africa, to take a diplomatic approach, or indeed take a
military approach.
A military
confrontational
approach. Now, and then it's complicated, I think, by the fact that there are other parties involved. For instance, we've mentioned Russia. Russia might not have been directly involved, but Russia is known to be wanting influence in Africa. China, ditto. The UK and the US that have always been there, well, we get as people are thinking about them now. So how complicated do you think the negotiations would be if it was decided that in the interest of the least collateral damage, perhaps we need to find a way to persuade these rebels to give it up? Is that a likely?
Well, I mean, you have just spoken my mind. Historically, confrontations have never worked to resolve any political crisis. You go to war, you kill people, people die in thousands and millions. You must return to the talk table. Okay? I commended the effort of ECOWAS, the disposition. That's what you go to the world. But the underlying approach should be slightly different from that confrontation. When they get to the table, diplomacy must come. Persuasion, as you chose the word, must come. First should be the extreme consideration. And that can only come if all things are deemed to have failed. You cannot win the war by just extreme. The reasons are clear. The situation in that region, especially the Sahel, is already complicated. By the time you send soldiers to start operating in that region, how are you sure of the reaction of Chad, reaction of Mali, reaction of Burkina Faso military on their colleague who is being assaulted by what is supposed to be an ECOWAS force? You cannot predict. There are several uncertainties that could come with that. So I would advise that in as much as the government, the ECOWAS and its leadership under Ahmed Tinubu has done the right thing by making statements. There's a distinction between public statement and public action. Okay, the statements have been made diplomatically, politically. The world knows that ECOWAS is not in support. However, in resolving the problem, the approach must be eclectic. Any attempt to use force alone
It's it will be unpredictable.
Don't let the prophet of doom, won't be. That's what I think.
I think enough said. We'll take your phone calls as well now, and as soon as they put it up there, because Nigeria must be watching this very, very, very carefully. And indeed, President Tinubu, as you said, has spoken as it's his turn as the president of Nigeria to be the chair. So he's put the right.
That's the best way to read.
And he's been very, as if he was to know that a thing like this might happen. From the very first day, he's been forceful in saying that democracy can be messy, can be difficult, but there is no alternative.
Yeah, he had that premonition. But again, they have been happening. This is the fourth. Only the space of 2 or 3 years in West Africa. So it was right of him to have made that statement at the point of swearing in that we need to protect democracy. But I said it elsewhere, or even on this platform, that protecting democracy cannot be done by words of mouth. You must protect governance. If you don't protect governance, you cannot protect democracy. If I were hired by ECOWAS to make some professional suggestions, the first thing today that I would say must be established in ECOWAS is a committee for good governance in West Africa.
Okay.
That committee will be more potent in addressing insurgency, coup, and counter-coup, much more potent than the committee that is called anti-coup, anti-military coup. The other one is bogus. Anti-military coup. How do you antagonize military coup without resolving the internal contradictions that make soldiers go to the street?
Well, exactly. But in this, it is soldiers. It is soldiers that went to the street and were still of his own very presidential guard. But let me, before we continue, let me bring Kenneth in. Kenneth is in Abuja. Good morning to you, Kenneth.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling in. Go ahead, please, with your comment or perhaps question for...
Yes, the question I want to ask in this topic is that in as much as I do not support military coup in any part of Africa or West Africa, the so-called democratic government, they are not treating its citizens fine. You understand me? They are not treating the citizens fine, just like what is happening in Nigeria now. They are budgeting heavy amounts for the National Assembly. They are budgeting heavy amounts for the executives. But the citizens, you ask them to wait. Wait till when? So something also replicated in other African countries you are seeing. So they should also enter there. They have enough to eat. They should give the little they are supposed to give to the citizens. This is what is causing uprising, is where there is no equality.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for calling in. You know, what Kenneth just said now, there are quite a sizable number of Nigerians in Nigeria. Most of them that I have contact with work as security guards, megadis, that kind of a thing. Yes. And what Kenneth just said, when I was speaking with these guys, that is their persuasion that the suffering is too much. We like them. We like the coup. And, that's why I was careful to tell you what their occupation is, what their life, their worldview is.
We all know. It's public knowledge.
Exactly.
We know what to do.
So they...
Like your Okada riders,
that's all
guards,
that.
The truck pushers and all this stuff.
And they are solidly, as much as that
in
is
support.
In support.
And
of
they are
the
part of the people.
And they are part of the people.
In
and
whose
the army
hands?
has said it is supporting the people. And so they're saying, yes, he has to go. Things are hard. Now, let's look at Niger. Second poorest country in the world. And they say, yet it should potentially be as rich as can be with the uranium especially. Uranium is what people are talking about. And then France, as you know, with its own policies, most of which are unbelievable to those of us in West Africa, for instance. Can you imagine all our money having to go to the Central Bank of England, whether we like it or not, deposit it there, we would then let you take what you need to take.
Post-colonial administration.
Yeah, so all of that is going on. And it looks like the time is coming. It's not going to be an easy task because I imagine France is also on the sidelines watching all of this. Remember, there was this monetary thing, this financial thing also, where Russia is supposed to be involved in all of this, and I imagine France won't be liking any of this at all. So what is the attitude, what would you guess the attitude in a pragmatic sense, looking at the polity now, has to be?
See, first of all, let's trace it from
sorry,
where...
before you go down, let me take care of Mr. George, who called in
Okay,
as well.
no problem.
So that, good morning, Mr. George.
And good morning to the professor.
We can't.
Good morning.
We can't hear, but maybe they will help us with
Okay,
that.
can you hear me?
Yes, now it's better.
Hello? You can hear me now?
Yes, please. Yes, thank you. We can.
Right. All right. Uncle Yori, let me start by asking the previous caller whether it is the military that does better for the people. The military is not known to be a government of the people. The one you have chosen by yourself to govern over you is better by all means than the one that imposed himself. The amount of money Abacha looted from Nigeria, was there anybody that was able to challenge him? Or if it was under civilian rule, even if you cannot retrieve the money, at least you can make noise. Okay, Yori, let's come back to the matter. I wish the president, our president, was given that role of the chairman of African Union. It would have been more effective with this kind of situation at hand. If the sanctions that ECOWAS is imposing on Niger would gravitate to using force, I would advise that ECOWAS should not do it alone. Let them make it an AU affair. Because this ECOMOG or ECOWAS is going into war with a neighboring country, and Africa as a union is not doing it as a body, the whole problem will be on Nigeria. The whole expenses will be on Nigeria. And this is not a time for spending so much of our much-needed money to prosecute a war in a neighboring country.
Okay. All right. Thank you for calling in, Mr. George. Kadi, could you that?
The point raised is valid. If I read them very well, what the point is that people misunderstand the fact that the worst democracy is better than the best military rule, and that given the trajectory in Nigeria and other African countries, military governments have never been the solution. I agree. I don't in any way disagree. And that's why I said and clarified at the initial stage that what I gave was an explanation,
not a justification.
Not justification. I state here that there's no way anybody would prefer military rule to democratic rule. We can never call for it. It's an aberration. It should never be. But you can explain why it is. And that is why I took you on to the theoretical level of what we all know. People did not witness only the insurgents of the military. They are in support. The same people you say have the highest level of sovereignty.
Exactly.
Are they now foolish? Do they not have that power anymore?
That's the
So the question is, something is wrong either with our earlier understanding of sovereignty or with the practice, as the case may be. And that is what we need to probe into to be able to solve the problem.
But we have a problem right now.
Yes,
we can't take the time out to probe into
Good. So the Nigerian case is peculiar. Perhaps similar to those of other ECOWAS countries, but it's a bit peculiar. In 2021, when the current Nigerian president assumed power, he won that election. But I doubt if he won, as somebody put it in a discourse, the heart of the Nigerian people. There were complaints about violence, about rigging, just like, you have in many parts of Africa. Journalists were killed, in several cases. 2 were in record by the United Nations and other observers. So the civil polity in Niger was not very friendly to democratic practices. And if you witness the video that we saw, a country that is deemed to be the poorest or second poorest in the world. And then you saw the government secretariat. You see the kind of vehicles that you have there. How do you agree that that country is poor? Internal contradictions there were, and that explained why the people reacted, not justified.
Okay, yes. Chidi in Kapanchan, good morning. Thank you for holding on. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir.
And good morning to your guests.
Yes.
Good morning.
Yes, as a matter of fact, the situation in Niger Republic, as it stands now, is quite unnecessary and is quite unfortunate too. But at the same time, the regional group that is ECOWAS, that they have to adopt this issue with carefulness. It needs a diplomatic approach of the highest order at this point in time, given the proximity of Nigeria and Niger Republic. If the thing should escalate, the truth remains that it must heavily affect Nigeria as a country. Therefore, ECOWAS, under the able leadership of President Tinubu, should be proactive in finding out the most political and diplomatic solution that is needed to solve this very problem.
Indeed.
Thank you very much, and God bless Nigeria.
Okay, thank you very much for calling in with that, Chidi. Again, we'll take another commercial break. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Of the
Stubborn dark marks? Try new Nivea Lumina 630. Visibly reduces up to 10 years of stubborn dark marks in just 4 weeks. New Nivea Lumina 630. Get even and luminous skin.
There is always more to a story than the scrimmage headline. The part of a story that is not told casts a shadow. It's like the part of an object that is not reached by light. On TVC News, I'm able to explore the many angles there are to a story, talking to stakeholders, asking the difficult questions, and digging for facts. I believe the viewers are able to make a better decision if they're well informed and understand not just a part, but the complete story. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Okay, welcome back. My guest is a political scientist, research associate prof at University of Lagos, Kayode Esola. Ola Balogun has called in from the UK. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Uncle Yori. Morning to your guests.
Indeed.
Sorry, Uncle Yori. First, your app is not working here. I don't know, maybe it's me alone, but I found out from other friends it's not working.
Oh, sorry about that. The TVC app?
That is working.
Oh, okay.
Noted. It's not working in UK. You can find out from other people. I don't know.
Okay.
That's one. Two, sir. To the program you're doing, though I missed some part of it, I don't know the last discussion. Whatever happened in Niger is condemnable, as everybody has done, but something led to something. Something must have led to it, and the gentleman there have said what to. You see, when you take power from the people, you neglect them, it results to. We don't pray we have it in Nigeria. The youth that are talking about military, unfortunately, some of them don't even know anything about military. That is aside. Two, what I think that is missing, especially in our own case, somebody called earlier, I think your first caller was talking about money to National Assembly and stuff like that. Even people that you expect in a high place, sometimes with due respect, TV stations, they give money to National Assembly. But have they gone to find out? You see, I think what happened to us is that sometimes we exaggerate things. When they say National Assembly, we don't even want to hear about it. You understand? Because I have somebody, an insider there, he took a picture, he took everything that they were doing in that place. But I said, why is it that the stations don't do this? But they made the public believe, oh, money to National Assembly. And some senators too, they don't even know how to defend it. They will just say money is for this, that. So that is unfortunate because when people are in this situation now, and they now see the first roll of call of money, palliative is there, transport you don't do, the next thing is social amount of billions to National Assembly. What do you expect from them, for God's sake? We don't have talking government. They don't. Yeah, sir, go to the assembly here. They renovate every day, and we're hearing about it. We are seeing it when you pass by. It's not hidden like the ones they have in Nigeria. You can go there and snap pictures. You see renovation going every day, which is unfortunate. Anyway, that's all I got to do, sir. Thank you very much.
Indeed. Thank you very much for contributing it. What are some pictures of Nigerian youths over the weekend burning down politicians' cars? Generally, I don't know if it's the right expression to say picking on politicians, because it's more than the mob action, you know, because of course when people come to sit down and do a forensic examination, it's much more than what people are feeling, that too many of them have had to leave the country, you know, as economic refugees. There is that poverty, but I wanted you, I don't think that you had the time to look at the reactions of France to this, maybe Russia, maybe China, because there was an expression in the ECOWAS statement when there was the diplomatic option under consideration that was said to include external partners, if any.
Well, you see, the new world order is going to play out somehow from this scenario.
And what is the new world order?
Well, it's speculative. We don't know where it is getting to. But what you can read in the immediate realm is that the hegemony of the West is constantly being eroded. Rightly or otherwise, the countries, many countries in West Africa believe that their interests have not been protected by the West. That the alignment they have with the West is parasitic, therefore destructive to their psyche, to their mentality, to their political system, as well as their economy. Unfortunately for them, the Francophone countries don't have the world open to them as much as the Anglophone countries. When they are in crisis in their countries, how many countries can they travel to? That will not be a problem in terms of language barrier. So they are more restricted than the Anglophone countries, and therefore they are likely to bottle up a lot of problems within themselves, even when they don't have solution. My good friend Tegor, we always talk about frustration and aggression, that when people are frustrated, they become aggressive. And that, in Yoruba wisdom, is called Weresun theory. You know, when you force a madman towards the wall, the next thing is for him to abnormally attack you. So the abnormality is what you see in the mob action at the government offices in Niger. These are rational people who were wise enough to vote in the government, but they suddenly became irrational to the extent that they were destroying the very government that they put in. Something went wrong, and that is why we must continue to probe it. And that is why also, in the approach of ECOWAS towards resolving the problem, I like the way one of the callers put it. They said this is the greatest diplomatic political challenge that ECOWAS has. Care must be taken. Something went wrong. Why did it go wrong? What lesson do you have to learn as a regional, sub-regional organization, and as a country, Nigeria? You know, if we put all this into consideration, we will not just go straight for live in 7 days, otherwise we attack you. That will spell doom.
You think it's a bit of a simplistic approach to
it? But again, I trust the wisdom of, I want to trust the wisdom of those there. They will not be that brutal.
Mr. Lufemi in the UK, good morning. Thank you for holding on.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling.
Good morning to the gentleman over there.
Good morning.
I've listened to the narrative. I'm of the opinion that the coup in Niger is uncalled for. The worst civilian government is better than the most or generous military we can have anywhere in the world. Nigeria is an example, and we're yet to come out of it. The ECOWAS, they have taken a stand, and I applaud it. They should not go back. What happened in Niger have the potency of ripple effect in some other region African countries. The ECOWAS should stand strong and pursue the view that they have put out over there. The military in Niger should not be allowed to stay longer than necessary.
Indeed.
They've given them ultimatum. Regardless, there will be consequences. Either way you like it. Let the ECOWAS stand. That is my opinion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Olufemi, calling in from the UK. Indeed, that is the stand of ECOWAS and its current chair, our president. And this, you see, when people say the truism that we have been taught by political scientists that the worst democracy is still better than the most benign military rule. Well, it's okay. You guys have no doubt discovered that over from research over periods of time, but it doesn't seem to be what the people can just see for themselves. They don't see it. Patience might be necessary. You don't talk to people who are desperate about patience. And so they're letting off steam, and it's messing up the whole place.
That's exactly what it is. I mean, somebody talked about political communication. You see, when you are roasting granite for a blind man, you should keep whistling, so that the blind man will not think, rightly or otherwise, that you are stealing. Or
I like that African saying.
I mean,
when
you have all the wisdom in Africa. We don't need most of these foreigners.
Not for a blind man.
You must keep whistling,
so
that he knows that you are not eating it. Because if he doesn't see, he can react otherwise. It speaks to the Nigerian situation. It speaks to most of the situations in African countries, and we must take that as a framework for operating with the people.
Let me take Elder David. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Yori.
Thank you for calling in, sir.
God bless you, sir.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. We should not doubt Nigeria. You see, the problem we have is that we don't know the importance of what Nigeria is. And I'm happy the man government today is a man that will do things for the interest of the community and for the interest of Africa and for the interest of the world. Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So when we are saying, why does it interfere with Niger issue? Niger issue has something to do with Nigeria issue, don't know. And whatever Niger is enjoying today, Nigeria contribute a lot to it. And this is a test, this is a very big test for this government. And what the president has done so far, yes, the world community, AU, the United Nations have supported it. So let nobody doubt it.
Indeed.
And what you are saying there today is very bad. And this is what could have happened if the APC have not come in 2015. But they are always quite different in a way. Yeah, because at that 2000 in Nigeria, we are tired of PDP, of what they have done, which was very bad. We thank God the APC coming to rescue us. But in case of Nigeria, there is a difference there. And what those people are doing there today is not good. Nigerian intervention is going to succeed. They gave them 7 days. You could see what is going to happen. Are we not smart applying their light and others? So let nobody does it.
Indeed.
And whatever people is doing today, the president, you are saying there, is in order. And he will do it like what Babangida did in Liberia. When we have ECOWAS, we all know about it. Chancellor, where is it today? Those military men in their republic to either accept what they have told them or they will face disgrace.
All right, then. Well, thank you very much, Elder David, for calling in. General Abdurrahmani Chiani, the leader of the leader of the rebellion,
Coup.
It's in fact, well, As far as we are concerned in ECOWAS, it is still referred to as an attempted coup.
Yeah, okay.
You know,
Well.
because that's the language there. But the man has proclaimed himself the president. And so we were exploring earlier that, look, a number of options are on the table. It doesn't matter if ECOWAS has already said that, you know, you must quit in 7 days. In failure, we will bring you know, force to bear.
You should not say it. And ECOWAS should not say it.
So
study the situation much more, you know, comprehensively.
That is the
and
challenge.
Come out
there.
with solutions that will put all of us in safe position.
Because they have already reacted to
They have reacted
by saying that
you expect that from the military government.
Yes,
anywhere
we are
in the world,
able to defend
you cannot
ourselves.
threaten them. Yeah,
it doesn't matter whether that is true or not.
There's a demarcation between what supranational organization can do and that of what a national organization can do. So it's expected of them to react that way. You know, it is now left to ECOWAS with the support of AU and UN and other actors around the world to work out the best way of resolving it. Indeed. And I said, and this should be registered in a very permanent way, that governance in West Africa must be addressed. Any solution...
Much more vigorously.
Much more vigorously that has been done.
Hillary, good morning and thank you for holding on.
Yeah, good morning, Yori.
Good morning.
I want to thank you for the program, and then the prof there is doing a wonderful job.
Yes.
Now, he's giving us the background to all of this, you know, theoretically and what actually is the reality. The reality is that Africa should wake up to govern well. Leaders should govern well. He talked about frustration and aggression. Now, if you look at Nigeria as it is today, I can bet you that if anything happens and there comes a situation where there's some kind of, takeover government, God forbid, you still see the same people, the same civilians, the same Nigerians that are saying democracy. You see them on the street because there is hunger, there is despair, there is bad leadership, not just Nigeria, but everywhere across Africa. And so the discussion should be, as they're talking about, you know, strategies to get Africa on the map of the world in terms of international relations and all that, there should be conditions for leadership. How do I put it? Just leaders should know that if you don't lead well, the same people that you think are there, democracy, military leadership, dictatorship, the stomach speaks first. That is my idea about this. If the stomach, if the being, well-being of the human person is not properly taken care of, the same human person you think will embrace whatever leadership model, whether democracy or whatever, the same human person will react and say, look, I need to survive first. And then again, let me say this. The Tinubu government just came into power. Please, diplomatic solution should be employed. Not military, not whatever, because Nigeria will bear the brunt, and the economy of this country is almost in shambles. So Tinubu should not come out garnishing his big chest in terms of war, in terms of power, the so-called Nigeria being the superpower of Africa. No, we need to organize our economy, and so we should push for diplomatic resolution to this crisis in Niger.
Okay.
Because Nigeria will surely pay more than the rest of the countries that are saying, let's go to war, whatever. This is my solution, and I thank the prof for the analysis he's making.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Hillary. You know, so as the gentleman says, look, you go the military route. Anyhow you look at it, we're like the big brother in Africa. So a lot of the bill is going to be at our doorstep. Now, can we afford it?
We can't. Financially, we can't. Socially, we can't.
We can't.
In fact, a vast majority of these menial workers in Nigeria, who people believe, rightly or otherwise, are constituting some form of insecurity in Nigeria, are not Nigerian.
That's right.
Many of them are from these neighboring African countries.
Yes.
No war yet.
Yes.
Just imagine a case of war or military counter attacks and all of that. The pressure will be on Nigeria.
It will.
All of them will invade us and worsen our security, worsen our economy, and worsen our social situations. So, like the last caller said, and as I also advanced in my position, the solution, the body language to the world is okay. Threaten them, let them know, clear you are not in support. But when you get to the solution table, the approach must be more robust, more engaging, more eclectic, and more realistic.
Indeed.
Baba Mogba, that goes straight to Nigeria.
Okay.
If people hail you, check yourself.
Check yourself.
And know what is best for your position.
Mr. Thomas, good morning.
Sure, Yuri. Good morning.
All right then.
Thank you. I'm enjoying the analysis from the prof there.
Yeah. How it is, Yola. Exactly.
Yeah.
Go on, please.
I just want to say, why the coup in the first place. I think the African nations or the countries, they should, by this time, start looking up. We don't hear of coup in this developed world. Why? Because they entrench proper democracy. When there is no proper democracy, what do you expect? You discover people in civilian, they also get into power, into office through coup. So, but if the people actually voted them, it will be difficult for coup to come in, to take place in the first place. So the African nations should first of all have a proper democracy where the people actually select and elect their leaders and not select. When we have a proper system where elections are being conducted, the right people are in office, as the Bible says, when the righteous rule, the Africans will rejoice. We see a few people that get themselves into power by all means, and that is what we are suffering today. Can we listen to the response from the coup leader saying that Tinubu government is even not legitimate? You see it. It's written all over everywhere. So illegality does not beget illegality. We should start with a proper democracy. I think that is where we should start from.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for calling in. And the other thing I wanted to ask you about, Khaled, is we've seen this before in Africa. This whole matter about, following talks, the military will spend as little time as possible, and that time is used to be organizing elections for a quick, swift transfer of power back to civilians. And what we have observed in Africa, that's what you teach, is that but when they get there, the soldiers are not in an undue haste to perform as agreed. Yeah. And so, whereas ECOWAS might be thinking that if we can talk with these guys, maybe stay there for about 3 to 6 months, organize elections, we can barely bear it.
And that's why we always insist that you don't start some things, because we will not be able to finish them. One of such things is a political system exposing itself to a level where something like military coup will happen. You can only see the beginning. You may not be able to see
how it's going to end.
The other places we call sinner climbs. Many of the callers here this morning have called from UK, US, and all this stuff. They don't witness military coup, not because they don't have soldiers, not because there are no contradictions within their systems. Yes. It is because they are balancing things.
So power structure
I
that you talked
started
about.
on the note of extreme use of power, action and reactions. You know, when you don't balance the political system, you will have extreme reactions, as it were. So, when the military gets to the office, it is confronted by two things. One, the promise of change. And so it takes radical steps, cancel this, suspend this, goes into this and all these things to be able to show, the people who offered it legitimacy that it is doing their bid, the government. But when that is done, a lot of things will have occurred. Toes will have been stepped upon.
Yes.
Reversals will have been made. arrests and executions will have been made. So the military becomes uncomfortable living because it does not know what happens when it leaves.
Exactly.
Now the case of Edie Balokun, Ara Orokun, Ara Oradie. I mean, I always like to use African proverbs, but they all explain the realities in our environment.
I'm afraid that, and I don't have the time to interpret that one.
Because some other days we are going to...
Yes, because Biodun Emagodo is waiting on the line. You're our last caller. Good morning to you, Mr. Biodun.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for calling. Go right ahead, please.
Yes, I've been watching the program, and I felt that when you look at the issues, there are two different interests involved. One is the interest of the West, who are hedging on other countries in Africa. And secondly is the interest of Africans themselves, particularly in the West African state. When you see the coup cutting down right Africa into the middle, there's a serious threat even to Nigeria's security interest. The moment you have coup next door to your country, then we really have a major problem because there is no doubt about it. We've had an experience with the military, and you can see till today, the Abacha loot, we are still recovering money. I do not know of any form of administration of any country that is more corrupt than the military. Up till today, we are still recouping Abacha loot. We cannot afford to keep quiet, and ECOWAS cannot afford to keep quiet about what happened in the Niger Republic. When people talk about it's a popular thing, look, there is no coup or there is no civilian administration does not have his own supporters. You always have people on both sides of the divide.
Okay,
Biodun,
I beg your pardon. I really do beg your pardon. I think you understand, Biodun. You also being, quote-unquote, one of us. We've run out of time completely. Thank you very much, Biodun, for contributing that. And, the bottom line I'm going to take from you, Cardio, this morning, you said so many things that are valuable, is that when they come to talk, we'll get to be a bit more pragmatic about it. Because the whole matter about force, that is not something to be taken.
It has not shown any productive results around the world.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it there, as I said. Unless there was a final point.
It's an ongoing discourse.
It is, indeed. So we'll continue.
But much more importantly, governments in ECOWAS must balance the use of power.
Indeed.
Otherwise, this is not a justification, it's an explanation.
You said so.
Coups and counter-coups will continue to occur.
Okay. Kade Suala, there, political scientist, research associate professor, IADS, University of Lagos. That's our program today. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am YORI FOLARIN. Bye-bye for now.
Stubborn dark marks? Try new Nivea Lumina 630. Visibly reduces up to 10 years of stubborn dark marks in just 4 weeks. New Nivea Lumina 630. Get even and luminous skin.
The following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV.
Do you spend the night trying to get comfortable? Your knees rub bone on bone. Your back and hips ache. You wake up in pain? Not anymore. ShopX TV is proud to introduce the Contour Legacy Pillow, the patented, ergonomically designed tapered leg pillow that naturally fits the contours of your legs, knees and thighs to help align your spine and alleviate pain. Watch, when you sleep on your side, your leg falls forward, twisting your pelvis and lower back, putting pressure on your spine, hip and sciatic. But the Contour Legacy Pillow cushions your knees and cradles your legs, relieving stress on joints while restoring your lower back alignment. Sleeping on your side, your leg comes over and puts you out of alignment, causing lower back pain, hip pain, even knee pain. By using the Contour Legacy Pillow, it restores the natural alignment of the spine, helping to alleviate pain and pressure, leading to much more restful sleep. Old-fashioned leg pillows are bulky, but the anatomical design of the Legacy Pillow fits perfectly the shape of your body the way nature intended. You can even use two together for full leg alignment. Legacy Pillow is exclusively ventilated, so it always stays cool and dry. With top crescent design, it cuddles up to you perfectly and easily moves with you. Ordinary pillows go flat, but the Legacy Pillow is made up of soft memory foam, so it never loses its shape and the cover is machine washable. The Contour Legacy Pillow is now available in Nigeria, exclusively from ShopX TV. You could be paying up to 500,000 naira for an orthopedic bed that doesn't properly support your spine. But call the number on your screen now and get 2 Legacy leg pillows for just 69,900 naira and get relief from back and hip issues. But wait! If you call now, we'll upgrade you to the Contour Better Sleep Collection. The collection comes with 2 Contour Legacy leg pillows and 2 Contour Cool Gel head pillows at no extra charge. The Contour Cool Gel head pillows' soothing orthopedic support will cradle your head and neck for full alignment, while keeping you cool all through the night for the best sleep of your life. Incredible! That's 2 Contour Legacy pillows and 2 Cool Gel head pillows for just 69,900 naira. And that's not all. Place your order now and we'll also deliver your Contour Better Sleep collection with no shipping charge. But hurry! This is an exclusive ShopX TV offer and only available for a limited period. So, call now while stock lasts. Your rest is your wealth.
The proceeding was a paid presentation brought to you by ShopX TV.
Have you had a hard time with taxes and understanding tax administration in Lagos State and the complex nature of Nigerian tax law? Do you know what agency or tier of government collects the various types of taxes? Have you ever found yourself asking any of these questions? Join us for your favorite program, The Tax Talk, your infotainment program.
Every week, Green Angle, in partnership with Wild Aid, will bring you a documentary series on environmental issues affecting Nigeria's amazing biodiversity, from climate change, air pollution, and wildlife conservation. We will be traveling across Nigeria to give you on-the-ground report of the issues affecting our environment. It airs every Saturday at 4:30 p.m. only on TVC News.
There is always more to a story than the scrimmage headline. The part of a story that is not told casts a shadow. It's like the part of an object that is not reached by light. On TVC News, I'm able to explore the many angles there are to a story, talking to stakeholders, asking the difficult questions, and digging for facts. I believe the viewers are able to make a better decision if they're well informed and understand not just a part, but the complete story. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known, for when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
Hello there, welcome to TVC Midday News. I am Mike Okwache. We're staying with the coup in Niger Republic. The economic community of West African states have called for the immediate release and reinstatement of Mohamed Bazoum as the legitimate and democratically elected president of Niger Republic. The regional body also imposed stiff sanctions on Niger Republic, which includes a no-fly zone over the country and an option to use force if the coup plotters fail to relinquish power within 1 week. State House correspondent Ifemi Akonde reports on this.
Strong sanctions expected to strangulate the government of the coup plotters in Niger Republic have been announced by ECOWAS. The coup in Niger is a setback to recent efforts made by the regional body to strengthen democracy and reject all forms of military takeovers. President Bola Tinubu, as chairperson of ECOWAS, wants member countries to comply with the sanctions imposed and remain resolute until constitutional order is restored in Niger Republic.
Disrupting the democratic order has left the people in a state of uncertainty and vulnerability. I've briefed some of you about the actions that I've taken. I'm prepared to abide by all resolution necessary to respond to this assault and to make sure that our colleague, the President Bazoum, is safe and that democracy is restored in Niger Republic.
The president of the ECOWAS Commission insists Mohamed Bazoum remains the legitimate leader of the landlocked West African country.
Resolve as follows. 1. His Excellency President Mohamed Bazoum remains the legitimate, elected President and Head of State of the Republic of Niger, recognized by ECOWAS, the African Union, and the international community. 2. Condemn in the strongest terms the attempted overthrow of constitutional order in Niger and the illegal detention of His Excellency President Mohamed Bazoum, President and Head of State of Niger, as well as members of his family and government. Call for the immediate release and reinstatement of President Mohamed Bazoum as President and Head of State of the Republic of Niger. In the event the authorities' demands are not met within 1 week, take all measures necessary to restore constitutional order in the Republic of Niger. Such measures may include the use of force.
There are fresh hopes that the regional body will find its teeth and bite. Femi Akonde, TVC News, Abuja.
And in the meantime, lawmaker representing Idiaton North local government or constituency in the House of Representatives, Ugo Chinyere Ikeagono, has called on ECOWAS to go beyond sanctions in its bid to restore the democratically elected government in Niger Republic. A National Assembly correspondent, Jokia Adisa, reports.
Military incursions and governance are no longer fashionable. Niger Republic is now in the eye of the storm after the 5th military coup since independence. The head of the country's presidential guard led the coup against democratically elected president, citing grievances over insecurity and poverty. Since then, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has taken prompt actions to register its dissatisfaction. A number of sanctions have been spelled out and a series of meetings of heads of state under the leadership of President Bola Tinubu held. This Imo State legislator is now adding his voice to the clamor for adherence to the adopted ECOWAS Protocol of 2011, which stipulates that the only path to power is through the ballot. He commends the President Tinubu-led ECOWAS for the actions taken thus far.
I'm commending the ECOWAS head of states led by President Bola Meto for the series of meetings they have had in the last few days towards finding the easy path to restoring democracy in Niger. But that we are demanding that the right thing to do is to deploy military action. And when we had problem in Guinea-Bissau, when the attempted coup failed, ECOWAS moved beyond sanction and deployed a strong contingent force.
But he calls on the sub-regional group to deploy a strong contingent force, which put paid to the recent coup attempt in Guinea-Bissau.
That if we don't fix what is happening by the side of our neighbor, it will also inflame and worsen the security problems we're already having in Nigeria. So what I'm proposing is that in order to teach renegade presidential guards and power-hungry elements like General Abdurrahman Tichani a lesson, is that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in consultation with other heads of authority in West Africa, should assemble the stabilization force, the contingency force, by the chief of defense forces in West Africa to immediately move into Niger to stop what is currently going on.
The lawmaker also speaks on the recent arrest of a journalist in Imo State.
I'm using this opportunity to call on the DSS and the police and Mr. President to please intervene on the arrest of Nonsonkwa and ensure that he's released. If you say he has committed an offense, the right thing to do is to charge him to court. You do not have, and I repeat, you do not have any reason to hold Nonsonkwa more than the stipulated constitutional provision.
The legislature believes very strongly that decisive military action against the Niger military junta will assist greatly in averting a likely resurgence of insecurity in Nigeria and neighboring countries. Joke Edson, TVC News, Abuja.
Let's turn our attention to the southeast, where a coalition of pro-Biafra groups say that they are collectively with Nnamdi Kanu on his decision to cancel the sit-at-home enforcement in the region. Bamidele Ajayi has more in this report.
Event in recent times show effort by stakeholders to ensure Southeast is continued. Every Monday sit-at-home order. The civil unrest was designed to protest the continuous incarceration of Nnamdi Kanu, leader of proscribed indigenous people of Biafra. An event that has resulted in loss of lives and property, as well as disrupting the economic activities of the sub-region.
So the greatness we've talked about, the
Enugu State Governor Peter Mba and host of other Igbo leaders are resolute in their demands to end the civil disobedience. At this news conference, personal aide of the IPOB leader, Rita Anebogu, confirmed the authenticity of the letter Nnamdi Kanu released through his special counsel.
The letter that Barrister Jimako presented to the press is very authentic and is from Nnamdi Kanu. Anyone claiming otherwise is doing so for ulterior motive, which time and Chukwuokike Abiama will expose.
Rita and other pro-Biafra groups jointly rejected the continuous enforcing of the sit-at-home order in the sub-region.
We, the pro-Biafra groups of Enugu State extraction, stand with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu as we say, we collectively reject the sit-at-home. Let it end now. Onye gburu nwanne anaghị azụ odogwu n'ala Igbo. No one becomes a hero in Igbo land by killing his own brother.
She urged the enforcers of the order to understand that the struggle is a political case that needs the support of all Igbo leaders.
Nnamdi had realized that we have to work with the political leaders of Igbo land to make a successful case for Biafra. Simon Ekpa should cease and listen to voices of reason. There is no way we will realize Biafra from Tibo Zogbo.
The group issues 10 warning to enforcers of the sit-at-home order to refrain considering the socioeconomic and total well-being of the people of the Southeast region. Bamidele Ajayi, TVC News, Enugu.
And away from that, now the Ooni of Ife, Oba Adeyeye Ogunwusi, has commended President Bola Tinubu over his ministerial list, especially the inclusion of 7 female nominees. He spoke on the sidelines of the presentation of a beaded crown to the Onijagbo of Ijagbo in Kwara State. Correspondent Ibrahim Alege has details.
Traditional rulers, dignitaries and indigenes of Ijagbo waited patiently for the arrival of the Ooni of Ife, Oba Adeyeye Ogunwusi, and his eventual arrival signals the commencement of the program. Is the presentation of the traditional beaded crown to the new Onijagbo of Ijagbo, Kwara State, Oba Sharafaddin Babalola. The Ooni performs the ceremony. This is significant because the forebear of the Onijagbo came from the GSA ruling house, the same ruling house as Oba Adeyeye Ogunwusi.
The crown has been derived from the GSA ruling compound in Ife, and that's the role of Ooni, to prepare it, to propitiate our ancestors and bring to Ijagbo. So I came to play my role with my blood brothers, the princes and princesses of Ijagbo Kingdom. We are from the same ruling house. His father, So it's just like he play his fatherly role.
An obviously elated Onijagbo of Ijagbo, Oba Sharafaddin Babalola, promises to be fair to all sons and daughters of the community.
The welcome support that I receive from them, I will build on it to make Ijagbo great, develop Ijagbo, and be just to all concerned.
One of the princes of Ijagbo, Lateef Fagbemi, senior advocate of Nigeria, is on President Tinubu's ministerial list. Oni comments his choice and others on the list, especially women.
He's a noble prince, illustrious son of Ijagbo Kingdom and Ife. He won't let him down. He will serve diligently. And also, I want to thank Mr. President as one of the presidents that is so outstanding in our nation, giving women a wonderful chance. He has appointed 7. We are so proud of him. Women are very reliable, very dependent, and we believe he will still appoint more.
He expresses optimism that the incoming cabinet members will serve the nation well. Ibrahim Alige, TVC News, Ijagbo, Kwara State.
Well, you're watching TVC Midday News. We'll bring you more reports after this time out. Stay with us.
Politics is defined as getting what, where, when, and how. But in the mix, many things come to play to shape the political fortune of any country.
Honorable Minister, that's how you misinform the public.
From the political actors to the electorate, campaign to voting, from debates to policy decisions, big events happen to engage us in constant conversation.
That's what we're looking for. Not some people who are talking about ethnicity. No.
Who is on your mind?
Don't worry.
Join me every day on Politics Tonight, where we dissect issues that shape our political destiny. Politics Tonight, weekdays on TVC News.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. Now, the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps has arrested 12 suspects for alleged vandalism, oil theft, and illegal dealings in petroleum products. They were paraded at the NSCDC state headquarters in Port Harcourt. Senior correspondent Uche Okoro has details.
This is Basil Igwebueze's first press